Greetings and welcome to Codebreak Album Club episode 4. Let me introduce ourselves. We are Codebreak. My name is Carl Miller, Death Grunts and Demon Screams. Gareth?
Hi, I'm Gareth Irons. No kids, 3 muddy. Still just play the bass.
Gary?
Gary Bagley. 1 cat, 1 wife. 6 strings.
And Andy?
Andy Heim, Tub Thumper.
Okie doke. So this week is Gary's choice. So I'm going to hand over to Gary and he's going to tell us what album we've been listening to this week.
So this week we've been listening to this album, which is Good Luck, Into Lake Griffy. Little bit about Good Luck. Good Luck is Ginger Alford, who is on bass and vocals, Matt Toby on guitar and vocals, and Mike Harpring on drums. They were from Bloomington, Indiana. They formed in 2007 and released this album in 2008. They released it self-released on CD first, and then that was picked up by No Idea, who released the vinyl. Before Good Luck, they played in a lot of other different bands. Most notably, there was Matty Popchart, who was Matt Toby, and he was also in Abe Froman, and Ginger Alford was in one. Other little facts is Matt also played some and recorded some songs with Kimya Dawson, and he was referenced along with Erin Toby, who was also in Abe Froman with him, in the song Tire Swing. And the line is, never met a Toby that I didn't like. Another bit of interesting information is that Matt was also in a band with the owner, or Little Bub's Human, so the Little Bub the cat. He was in a band with him called Memory Map, and he wrote and recorded the album Lil Bub's Hello Earth. And lastly, Mike Harpring played drums for Harry and the Potters, which is where the only person I've seen live from this band is when he was playing with Harry and the Potters. And they released Joe DeGeorge from Harry and the Potters made this fanzine for them. So we'll start off by going to Andy to see what he thinks.
Okay. As I mentioned last time, I knew I had this CD somewhere, and I eventually found it. I definitely got a recollection of buying it at a show and trying to rack my brain back to sort of whether Crocodile God had played with Good Luck. I contacted Will Fitzpatrick. The sort of knowledge of everything punk and indie and unknown, and he said that his band at the time supported them in Manchester. So thinking back, I think I must have went to see Will's band and also, unbeknown to me, seen Good Luck as well, and they must have impressed me because I come away with a CD. I'll be honest, I come home with the CD and I've probably listened to it once or twice, and then it's gone away in the CD rack with all the others and stuff. So getting it out again and listening to it has been really nice, and it sort of brought back memories of listening to it the first time. As always, when I listen to something, lots of things come to mind, and I like a little list of things, like I did with the last one. I think with was it your choice last time, Gareth? Was it? Yeah. So here we go: The Weaker Dance, the Lemon Twigs, Django Reinhardt, Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, the Bundu Boys. Not sure you're familiar with any of these, but and yeah, all them influences. I think the very first song when that comes in, automatically I think The Weaker Dance, but then they don't sort of stick to that same vibe all the way through. You can hear lots and lots of different influences coming through into the music. The guitar for me, especially when you're listening to it on headphones, which I've been doing a lot of the last week because that's what I've been doing when I've been listening to all the albums, going out for a walk and putting it on, because I find that's the best way to listen to things, uninterrupted and everything, and you get to listen to the whole album all the way through. The guitars for me are like really nice. The guitar like floats almost on top of the mix, if that makes sense, and also the tone of the guitar sort of brought to mind a little bit of Operation Ivy, a very like trebly sort of type of thing, although they're not obviously ska or anything. Songs that stuck, that sort of jumped out straight away was one called Come Home, and also West Wind Ride. West Wind Ride towards the end even reminded me, I think we were doing like some overdub guitars, and it was almost like Iron Maiden. It's just like, you know, them twin lead guitars going on. And this is the kind of like crazy things that go through my head when I'm listening to music anyway. But they're only a 3-piece, I think, aren't they, Gary? Yeah. But the music sound, obviously they've overdubbed stuff and put, I think, like a second guitar in some places, and I think the drummer plays the saxophone. I think overall feeling of listening to the album again, it's a very uplifting and joyous album, and I think you listen to it and it puts me in like a really good mood. Yeah, that's my sort of little review of this album anyway. But yeah, just sort of already heard it years ago and obviously just put it away, but getting it out again is just, you know, made me appreciate it once more.
Just on the back of what you were saying, again, another little bit of a fun fact is apparently they did a Halloween show as the Weakerthans at one point. So they did a Halloween Weakerthans set.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Gareth, go to you next.
Okay, so as I always say when it's not my week to pick something, I hadn't heard this before. Didn't know anything about the band beforehand. Both Spotify and Wikipedia seem to have got them mixed up with an EDM band of the same name. And that's confounded my research a little bit. But here we go. So it's a really bright start with How to Live Here, first track. There's loads of good stuff. It's all at once and all in different styles. There's a real sort of power behind it. There's so much going on. It should sort of fall over. It feels like it's going to topple over, almost a bit like sort of the Blues Explosion last week, kind of just a controlled chaos sort of thing going on. It's really good, that song. I was very, very impressed. For those watchers who don't know, I have the great privilege of having to encode and upload the video after we're done, which takes about an hour because my laptop's ancient. And because of that, I was able to listen to the whole of this album while I was uploading the John Spencer Blues Explosion episode from last week. And so Gary got like a text within 10 minutes to say, "This is really good. I'm really enjoying this." And from there, it does change quite a bit and covers a lot of sort of subtly different styles. The playing remains good throughout. There's a lot of changes of pace and focus, sometimes in the same song. And there's almost a musical thread throughout this that kind of it builds in intensity. And that really seems to come to fruition on a track called Stone Cathedral Hill, right towards the end of the album. It feels like a sort of a cathartic moment where they're releasing all this sort of pent up kind of tension that's come throughout the album. The lyrical themes, and bear in mind I haven't looked any of these up, seem to be sort of like small town adolescents hoping to escape and are longing to be heard and noticed and loved and that kind of thing. It's kind of an album. I don't know if it's to do with our current situation, which I won't refer to too much because, well, it'll age it when people are watching this in 20 years' time. But I've just been feeling the album really to a certain extent as much as I've been sort of analysing it. So a lot of this could be completely wrong, but it's what it's putting on me at the minute, I guess. One slight criticism about the lyrics. They didn't shout Blues Explosion very much, or indeed at all. I thought I heard them do it once or twice. Could be wrong. Way down on the average from last week. Bands I thought they sounded like, and bear in mind this is me kind of not really being familiar with the genre, but some of the sparser arrangements reminded me of Sleater Kinney. And some of that is just the lead vocalist, kind of obviously a female lead vocalist over that kind of music. You know, just reminds me of that. I think it reminds me of Flamingo 50, but it's been so long since I heard them. I could be misremembering that. Right, this is another sort of feeling-y thing rather than a sort of a tangible thing. But this reminded me of Funeral by the Arcade Fire, their sort of debut album. It almost felt like a journey, the album, if you see what I mean, and kind of like there was some storytelling going on there that it just reminded me of the kind of mood that album has. And like I say, there's a kind of a journey going on here. There's an arc, and track 12, Bringing Them Back to Life, is track 3, Stars Are Exploding, but done differently. And it really, really helps to sort of bring everything down before the last track, which is almost like a distillation of everything that's happened on the album up until that point. Feel like I'm being a bit pretentious with most of this, but there we go. It sounds very melancholy and raw, but also like they're having an absolute ball playing it. So it's a bit of a strange combination of that, but it really works, and I really like it, and that's about me. So
again, like in terms of you kind of picking up on a thread, I'm pretty sure the gig that Andy was talking about, the tour that they did was with Caves, who is Lou from Flamingo 50's band when she moved down to Britain. And I know that they kept a connection because when Ginger has been over for holidays and for like acoustic tours, she's kind of, while Lou was still living over here, she was connecting up with Lou quite a lot. So they're quite matey themselves.
Okay, so I wasn't far off then. That's good.
No. Good stuff. Carl?
Well, I've not really heard anything by this band before. Well, I thought I hadn't. And then, weirdly, they popped up on a Spotify playlist that I'd made a few years back. So I'd obviously heard them and sort of not realised. Yeah, it starts with a bang. I think that first song really sets the tone. How to Live Here. It's so upbeat and sort of joyous. Thing I picked up on the record was the guitar sound. I thought it was brilliant guitar sound throughout, very noodly and sort of intricate guitar playing. And I think actually that's my favourite thing on this record, because I'm not really a fan of the vocals. I think they're a little bit too nasally at times, and I think, I don't know, it probably just me, but it grated on me a little bit at times, the vocals. I did like it when he switched up the vocals, because I know there is 2 vocalists. I also did find in the middle of it, I kind of lost a bit of interest. I was kind of, it feels a bit the same, this. I'm waiting for something to come and hit me, but it did pick up. And the song Public Radio, I thought it was a really good song that sort of picked up the album, and it had sort of like a sea shanty feel to it. And I think that's through the guitar playing again. The song Bring Them Back to Life, which Gareth just mentioned, is actually a version of a previous song on the album. I thought it was too short. I was waiting for it to sort of keep going and build, and it didn't. There's definitely a very sort of like summery feeling to the album. It's very bright, and I say quite joyous, and it reminded me of quite some other bands, in particular a band called Warriors, who have that sort of noodly guitar sound, and also a band called Reviver, who also have that same sort of ball to the wall kind of let's go for it, but a very intricate guitar playing. I enjoyed it, but I just felt like there was parts of it where I kind of zoned out a little bit, and maybe I need to go back to it and give it a bit more attention to detail. But I loved the guitar sound on it, but I couldn't figure out at first if the vocals were male or female. I didn't know, and I had to look that up, and it's actually a male lead on a lot of the songs, and then there is the female vocal in it as well. So yeah, they're my thoughts on it. It's good, but part of it grated on me ever so slightly. Right,
so my feelings, so I heard this album, it was probably 2009, I imagine, that I heard it. And I remember kind of, it was, I mean, I still do, but back then particularly, I did it a lot where I kind of go onto kind of blogs and download albums just based on other things that were on there or descriptions. And I think it was things like Reviver and stuff that I was downloading around the same time. That kind of was the reason why I downloaded this. And I absolutely instantly fell in love with it. I just thought, in terms of the things that individually I'm interested in, it was basically all put together in this. Because, you know, I'm a big fan of pop punk and I'm a big fan of math rock. And this kind of melded those worlds together a lot better than a lot of the, you know, there's a lot of math rock bands who do kind of a poppier sound, but to me they're a bit wet. And this, I think, is got that driving element of pop punk with the technical element of the math rock twiddly kind of sounds. And to me, it's pretty much faultless, this album. I can understand what Carl means by the vocals. They aren't for everyone. There is like dual vocals on a lot of it as well, which I've always loved dual vocals. So where like they'll basically sing the same thing all the way through, and it's just layers of the vocals. Matt takes lead on, I think it's probably 2/3 of it, and Ginger does about 1/3 of it as lead. But the way that it flows from song to song, and I think it probably is something where if you can get past the vocals, the music will be something that you'll be able to pick up on a lot more things in terms of the way that the songs are structured and how the kind of the interplay between the, weirdly enough, to me it's actually more between the guitars and the drums, with the bass kind of keeping it going along underneath. Whereas normally, obviously, it's like, you know, the bass and the drums together, and then the guitar kind of goes over. But I think the drums are so dense and so kind of scattergun, it kind of goes all over the place. Like Gareth was saying, it kind of almost sounds like it might fall apart at any moment, but it's kind of held together. The way that I kind of say it kind of obviously got me at the right time for kind of melding those kind of worlds together, and to me, say it's almost faultless as a record, as is their next record, although it does sound quite a bit different. In terms of the lyrics, I think some of the themes that Gareth picked up on, I picked up on similar ones. So just in terms of the kind of the way that they write the lyrics, I think they are themed around like anxiety and community and emotional support from that community, and also like being open to support and valuing other people, but at the same time not giving themselves that kind of same benefit, which I think is, again, kind of speaks to me, because I feel like that's probably quite in keeping with a lot of me and my peers kind of ways of approaching our own self. You know, we're quite willing, more than willing and able to kind of support other people and let them know that what they're thinking of themselves is not true, but actually giving yourself that benefit of the doubt you don't do. You're easy to kind of pick up on your own kind of self-doubts and dwell on that, and I picked up on that a lot with the lyrics of this. So some of the ones that I particularly love is don't forget to live your life because we love you very much. Just like, again, kind of using that as well as kind of a driving like line. It really kind of works. And it terrified me then, but now I know how to be grateful for the push that kept me from being scared of tomorrow. So again, it's the idea of just kind of supporting other people. I think the lyrics themselves are structured really well, and they're really placed well within the songs, because they're very dense. When you actually read the lyrics, there's a lot of lyrics going through them, but they still sound anthemic. They kind of pick up on the right lines to kind of focus on, and they do that thing of like repeating the last line on about a quarter of the songs on the album. They'll like repeat the last line to kind of emphasize it. And again, say obviously the music being kind of really technical, really unusually structured, but really poppy. To me, it's just a winner for all those reasons.
Okay, what we'll do is we'll each pick our two favourite songs on it. So I'll go first. My two favourite songs, I think, was first one was the second song, which is called Pajaman. Is it called Pajaman?
Pajaman, yeah.
Really like this sort of like bouncy feel to that one. And my second favourite song was a song called Public Radio, closely followed by, I think it's towards the end of the record, I don't know if it's the last song, is it 1001 Open Hands?
Yeah, last song.
I enjoyed that song. So Gareth, do you want to pick your favourite two songs?
Yep, I mentioned them both previously, but How to Live Here, just a very arresting opening. And usually I listen to the first track on the album and go, oh, that's good, and then prefer other ones later, but that one stayed strong. And Stone Cathedral Hill is the other one for me.
Okay, and Andy, do you want to pick your two?
Yeah, I left out before, it's a great produced album as well, and even though like obviously they've been, I don't know, maybe done it themselves, but it sounds amazing, the sound anyway. Favourite songs, Come Home and West Wind Ride for me.
Okay, and Gary?
And for me, mine are both kind of towards the tail end. So it's actually Sleep With No Bad Dreams and 1001 Open Hands. But again, I could pick a load. I could put same stories close to that. Close to that, and yeah.
I do like the one that Gareth mentioned before as well. That Stone Cathedral Hill. That was a close one as well.
Yeah, the ending of that is kind of really interesting.
Okie doke. Right, so we'll each give it a score now. So I'll go for, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Good album, just the vocals for me. But you know, that could change quite easily. Gareth?
I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. Usually I sit on the fence with what the UK has for some reason decided is the average out of 10, 7. Anyone else see a problem with that? Because I certainly do. But no, I think I'm going to carry on listening to this for the next question mark. Essentially, it's a keeper for me insofar as anybody keeps anything these days. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Okay, Andy.
I'm also going to give it an 8 out of 10. It was good going back to it after not listening to it for years and remembering, sort of. I think I'm trying to remember. I did definitely see them live, so yeah, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay, and finally, Gary's going to give a 15 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with everyone else's album choice and give it a 9 out of 10.
So
I might deliberately pick a bad album at some stage just to throw it off.
Yeah, so there we go. I think that's a strong sort of 8.5, maybe towards 9 out of 10. Me bringing the mark down a little bit, but there we go. So great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say what we're going to do next week, and it's back to me again. We've done the full circle. So next week, my choice is one of my favourite records, and it's David Comes to Life by the band Fucked Up, the punk rock opera of what that album actually is. So we'll be listening to that over the next week. So stay safe, stay well, and don't be a meth. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
No.